Well, I want to begin by thanking General McConville, Sergeant Major Grissom, Major General Eifler, Sergeant Major Daly, Alaska leaders from Fairbanks, North Pole, our native leaders, and most of all of you, the 11th Airborne Division. Welcome home to Alaska. Now, this transformation of this unit to the 11th Airborne Division, now one of only 2 airborne divisions in the entire U.S. military, represents a transformation, a sea change, really, in the Pentagon's thinking about the Arctic and our Arctic strategy. It wasn't too long ago that the Department of Defense saw the Arctic as a backwater of strategic relevance. No real strategy and a focus on shutting down bases and units here in Alaska. Now, all of that has changed. The standing up of the 11th Airborne Division here in Alaska represents a critical pillar of the transformation of America's Arctic strategy. I like to say that our great state, Alaska, constitutes 3 pillars of America's military might. With the 11th Airborne Division, all of you, we are a strategically located platform that can deploy thousands of tough airborne Arctic troops anywhere in the world on a moment's notice. We're the hub of air combat power for the entire Arctic and Indo-PACOM theaters. The Air Force just finished its bed down of 2 squadrons of F-35s here in the interior. We now have over 100 fifth-generation fighters, F-22s and F-35s, based in Alaska. Nowhere in the world has that kind of fifth-gen fighter power. And we're the cornerstone of missile defense for our nation. All of the ground-based missile interceptors, the significant radar that we need is all based here. In addition, we're building icebreakers to protect our seaborne interests. We're building a strategic Arctic port in Nome to house and base these ships and large naval vessels. And we just stood up the Department of Defense Ted Stevens Center for Arctic Security Studies, which will be the premier place in the world to convene the best minds on Arctic strategy. So this is an incredible transformation on the Arctic, an exciting transformation. In the 11th Airborne, all of you are at the tip of the spear of this strategic transformation. Now, of course, not everybody is pleased by this. Just think about the military firepower I just described and the strategic location where it is. The brutal dictators in China, North Korea, and Russia are soon going to realize that the U.S. just put 100 fifth-generation fighters and a tough new airborne division in their rear and on their flanks. These dictators can't be happy about that, and that is a good thing. So let me conclude with this. In the Marines and Navy, we have a term for those fortunate enough to be part of a new unit, like all of you are today. We call them plank holders. The term comes from the days of wooden ships in the Navy, where the original crew members had the ownership rights of the planks on the main deck when the ship was decommissioned. It is a great honor to be a plank holder. It is also a great honor to be part of a unit with the storied history of the 11th Airborne Division. And what a history! We just heard about it today. Amphibious invasions, synchronized with airborne assaults, and famous battles during World War II. Daring behind the enemy lines raids to rescue thousands of POWs, 2 years of fighting in Korea, including airborne operations. What a legacy, and that legacy continues with all of you today. This is now your airborne division. The best thing about being a plank holder is that you get an opportunity that is very rare in the military, that all of you now have. You get to set the culture, the toughness, the standards, the reputation of this new unit. it is a huge responsibility that starts for all of you today. And 40 years from now, when you're all retired and you're having a beer and your grandson or granddaughter comes to you and says excitedly, "Grandpa, guess what? I just got orders to the 11th Airborne Division in Alaska. It is considered the toughest Arctic trained unit, the toughest airborne unit, way tougher than the 82nd Airborne." And they're all excited about that. You'll be able to sit back, smile confidently, and say to your grandkid, "I know it is, son, because I made it that way." Congrats again to all of you. Down from heaven comes 11. Welcome to Alaska.